Boy, this is typical in the springtime. Looks gorgeous right now, right? The ice just went out here a couple days ago, but this afternoon we've got thunderstorms coming in, and tomorrow they're talking about potential snow again. Transition time this time of year. The lures that I have picked out take this into consideration because I want to cover water. I want to find where bass are at on their migration routes. Let's get into it. Number one is a jerkbait, and for a couple very important reasons. One, it can find fish really quick because you can cover water, and it also does an excellent job of covering that super key depth zone this time of year. For me, that's that 5 to 10 foot range. The other reason I really like the jerkbait is because with changing from one to the other, we can hit different parts of the water column pretty quickly. The key is we want to keep that lure at their level or a little bit above. We want to try not to be below them. So you can use your 300 deeps, your 300s, your 200s, whatever, to really dial in that depth zone. And the second reason I really like the jerkbait is because I can mix up the retrieve pretty easily, but still keep that lure suspended and hanging there in the water column. If the waters are starting to get a little bit warmer, you're seeing a bit more activity, maybe some more fish shallow, some more panfish shallow, you can give it a really wide side-to-side cut with a hard rip on a slack line, of course, very, very important. But if you think that, or you see that fish are a little bit more sluggish, they're kind of moving like they're in jello, water's a little bit cooler, the metabolism is down, that is where just a straight pull, a short straight pull can really be the tickets. So between covering water and the ability to change that presentation speed and leave that lure hang, that just makes it an excellent combination, not only for March, but really throughout much of the year. Now, number two, I'm going to lump in two different ones here. I'm going to put spinnerbaits and square-bill crankbaits in this same category. And the reason is because when you've got a little bit more color in the water, you know, in the springtime, you can get a real heavy rain real quickly, clouds things up. Spinnerbaits and square-bills do a really nice job when you've got some stain to the water, color in the water. They have enough of that vibration signature, whether it's blades thumping or the wide wobble of that square-bill, that it just helps us in those types of conditions. And like the jerkbait, you can cover water quickly, find fish. Once again, and you're going to hear this throughout this video, that erratic action is really key. And that can be accomplished by banging it into things, bang that square bill into things, bang that spinnerbait into things. But if you're bringing it through some open water, maybe at the back part of your retrieve, or you're investigating over the top of a weed bed, whatever it might be, you can use that start-stop retrieve with the square bill. And with the spinnerbait, I really like to bounce the blades. If you take a look at it here under the water, now this is really clear water here so you can see it, but when you bounce those blades, it just has that super erratic action to it. And we also can't forget, with the spinnerbait, it gives you the option to cover the very bottom of the water column, so you can work that top part, the mid depths, and then get down to the bottom without retying anything. Let those blades bang into that bottom cover as you're bringing it through, and you can just probe. Let's say you come up to a dock, you can hit right up there at the top of the dock. Maybe they're suspended part way down, or maybe they're relating to the bottom. The spinnerbait can cover all of that, a very versatile lure that often gets forgotten about. Now, if you're a little bit farther along in this springtime transition, believe it or not, the March can be an excellent time to pull out some topwaters, but we've got to split them into two categories. You've got your searching topwaters and your target topwaters. My favorite searching topwater right now is a walking bait. You can just cover so much area with it, work it over a point, work it over flats, work it over weed beds, gives you a lot of options, and it has that drawing power to pull fish up. So don't be afraid to throw it over some deeper water as well. And then you also need to have that option readily available for a target topwater, your poppers, your bladed topwaters, this type of thing. So when you're coming around that cover, those docks, you know, the laydowns, you can just put that target topwater out there and coax those bass out from it. And number four, I'm going to keep ready, especially if I notice a lot of other people throwing spinnerbaits or maybe square bills, and that is I'm going to have that bladed jig ready to go. And a real key reason to this is, once again, I can cover multiple parts of the water column with it. I like to throw it like a traditional jig, just small, short little hops on the bottom, just get that blade to thump quickly and drop back down. But in this time of transition, just you're throwing it out there and retrieving it can be very effective, especially if you keep that erratic motion in mind. So instead of just that standard chunk and wind, you can do a couple things. You can go ahead and just twitch it quickly with the rod tip and make that lure dance a lot like the spinnerbait we showed you earlier. Or another really good technique is take your reel handle, just give it a quick half turn, just a little burst, and look what it does to the lure under the water. It just is amazing how much kick that it gives it with that slight little rotation. But if you're using, let's say, a high-speed reel that has 30+ inches of line retrieve, when you give it a half quick turn, that's quite a bit of line that is getting picked up quickly. Always be thinking about that erratic motion this time of year. And of course, there are others that naturally we can throw in March. You know, when you find fish, you can slow down and throw something else that soaks right there. But like I said at the beginning, this time of year, it's real key for me in this super transitional period. Also a period when weather can just change like crazy, to be moving. I just really like to keep moving in March. And hey, if you want to watch a video that talks about what bass do with those sudden changes, go ahead and check this one out right here, and make sure that you go out and encourage someone today. You never know how you might just change their life. For the Bass Fishing Life, I'm your host, Steve Rogers.